Thank you, Commissioner Shipp, and to Chief Gerald Nelson and Chief Quavella Spruill and Chief Henry White and all of Noble here today. Thank you for your work and for everything that you do. Giles, you learned that from your family and from the Marine Corps. You know, as the daughter of retired Army 82nd Airborne Sergeant First Class, that's where I learned it from too, is having guts. And I'm here with the privilege of introducing someone that also has that same spirit. Someone who is certainly, in his words, born under the same star. He has a deep appreciation for the work of the people of law enforcement, but that of also community. And he knows and he understands that the two cannot be exclusive or divided, that everyone in this room, that if you were to cut our arms, we would all bleed one color, and that is red. He is a governor of humanity. He is a governor of principle. He is a governor of purpose. He is a governor who is accessible, and he stands on the side of rights. He is someone who you can go and approach and caucus with and talk to and say, hey, we're supporting this cause, such as A3115, and he will meet us where we are at, and he knows that when it's time to stand on the side of rights, that's where you will find our great governor, Governor Philip Murphy.
Thank you, Brittany. Jesus. What am I going to say to live up to that? Come on. I just said to Brittany, what can I possibly say now that will live up to that? Good morning. What a treat to be here. Thank you so much, Assemblywoman Brittany Timberlake. I could say the exact same things about you, for that warm introduction and for your support and partnership and leadership. And I know your dad, and he stands as so many other heroes like Giles and so many in this room who have served our nation. Thank him and thank all of you for your service. Brittany, you have a couple of colleagues I don't think are here but will be here. And I want to give a shout out to Senator Ron Rice, Assemblyman Benji Wimberly, who stand with you, I know, shoulder to shoulder in our extraordinary legislature. To my good friend, Giles Shipp. Giles, thank you so much for your words of welcome. And to you and Region 1 Vice President Gerald Nelson, who welcomed us before you, I thank you for the invitation to be a part of this conference. To all of you, it is an honor to be here today. And I especially welcome all of you who have come from out of state to the great state of New Jersey and to Atlantic City, one of our states, I would argue one of the East Coast's, one of our country's most iconic communities. I don't normally say this, but I feel doubly welcome here today. New Jersey is my home state, and I am incredibly humbled and proud to serve as its 56th governor. But my roots are in Massachusetts. So I was born in Boston, I grew up in Newton and Needham. So I also feel a kinship from those of you who may be here from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and to give you a shout out as well. As we are in Atlantic City, I must also give a shout out to our local hosts, Atlantic County Prosecutor Damon Tyner and Atlantic City Chief of Police Henry White. So thank you guys for hosting us. This is a city that is changing every day and every day changing for the better. This is a city that is on the mend and whose economy is growing stronger and more diverse. In fact, we are at one of the newest attractions here in Atlantic City, the Hard Rock, which opened last June. And the energy you feel here pervades far outside these walls. As governor, I am proud of the work our administration, led by our great Lieutenant Governor and Commissioner of the Department of Community Affairs, Sheila Oliver. Let's get up for Sheila in absentia. The extraordinary work that Sheila has done to partner with leadership here in the city and in this county in this turnaround. I know Mayor Frank Gilliam is going to be here today, Freeholder Ernie Corsi, and many of the other both city and county officials, and I want to give them a shout out as well. I also must give a shout out to the great work of Jim Johnson, himself a former federal prosecutor and civil rights advocate who has served as our administration's special counsel here in Atlantic City, alongside our Office of Atlantic City Initiatives, a team that I'm meeting with shortly today. I mention this because the efforts we are undertaking here in Atlantic City are similar to the efforts we are undertaking elsewhere in our state to rebuild our urban centers. efforts that are underpinned by a renewed sense of collaboration with law enforcement to create safer communities. We come at this from a belief that safety and community spirit, and I think Brittany hit this right on the nose, flow from a greater sense of fairness and justice, and are strongest when law enforcement and residents share mutual trust. Just as Noble strives to serve as the conscience of law enforcement, I want New Jersey to similarly strive to raise the consciences of all residents for us to change the way we approach issues regarding law enforcement. A significant part of that equation is ensuring that we have a law enforcement community that looks like the community it serves. As governor, that means beginning with having a state police force that similarly mirrors the great diversity of our state. I am grateful to Attorney General Gurbir Grewal and state police, Reva, the human applause machine Foster, is weighing in there, and State Police Colonel Pat Callahan for their commitment to advancing diversity in the ranks as well. I applaud the leadership of the Attorney General and his office on issues of diversity and inclusion, working closely alongside Noble and Carolyn Chang of the New Jersey Association of Black Women Lawyers, among so many others. Hats off to you, Attorney General. And Colonel Callahan, Colonel Callahan has been a transformational leader at the New Jersey State Police. Pat has led efforts to reach deep into our communities, including our faith communities, to bring new voices and views to the forefront and be a part of the conversation about how we move forward with greater mutual respect and understanding. In addition, under his leadership, the State Police celebrated the promotion of its first Haitian-American Lieutenant Colonel, Fritz Frage. Fritz, let's hear it up for Colonel Frage. So I thank the Attorney General and I thank the Colonel. They've been great partners, and Colonel, I thank you for your commitment and the Attorney General to our state and our state's values. It must be noted that the Colonel turned 50 yesterday. And I think we owe him right now a happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Callahan. Happy birthday to you. That's a 50 plus 1 day Murphy to Callahan special. And as fate would have it, and this is an incredibly important point, today, yesterday was your birthday, but today marks the first day of open applications for the next class of New Jersey State Troopers. Whether it be in community policing or homeland security, forensics, or communication, or in any other area of law enforcement, our focus is on creating the most diverse and well-trained statewide police organization in the nation. Wherever I go, whether across our state or around our country, I am often complimented on the professionalism and service of our state police. They have truly become a national model for service, and I am incredibly and tremendously proud of them. We are now looking for the next generation of law enforcement leaders who want to give back to our state and who exemplify the ideals of the New Jersey State Police: honor, duty, fidelity. And we encourage them to visit, a quick commercial here, www.njsp.org/recruiting. That's www.njsp.org/recruiting for more information and to apply. To everyone who aspires to make our community stronger and safer, to everyone who wishes to be the change they seek, there can be no higher calling than to make serving their fellow citizens their life's work. You know that too. In this belief, we will find significant common ground. Noble has been leading the way not just for being leaders in our law enforcement community, but for being leaders in the efforts to create a more just society. I thank you in particular for your work on legislation I signed requiring that the Attorney General's office investigate law enforcement-related deaths, which is another step in rebuilding the trust between police in the communities they serve. And I want to give Assemblywoman Timberlake a big shout out for her leadership. And I look forward to Noble's continued leadership. The New Jersey I inherited held the dubious distinction of having the largest white to black racial disparity among persons in incarceration, not just in our region, but in the entire country. Black residents have been put in prison at a rate 12 times that of white residents. I committed to myself that this would not be the New Jersey that I would hand off to my successor. It is not just unacceptable, it is at every level wrong. As a New Jerseyan, as governor, and as a former national board member of the NAACP, I would not accept this as the status quo. Certainly there are many factors at play, whether it be lack of economic opportunity, long-standing racial injustice, or racial profiling in our criminal justice system. But this is New Jersey. I also inherited a state with a long and proud progressive tradition, a tradition that had been shoved into a desk drawer during my predecessor's 8 years in office, but which I have worked hard every day over the past 15 months to restore. In fact, in one of my first acts as governor, I reconstituted New Jersey's dormant Criminal Sentencing and Disposition Commission that will comprehensively review New Jersey's criminal sentencing laws so we can move ever closer to that ideal of equal justice under the law. I nominated 2 experts to this commission. One was a former Chief Justice of the New Jersey Supreme Court, Deborah Poritz, a great leader. A court, by the way, a Supreme Court, I might add, which is respected across the nation for its impartiality and efforts to ensure greater justice. The other leader I appointed was that guy, Giles Shipp, allowing prison sentences that are disproportionate to the crime committed flies in the face of justice. This is why, in addition to the Sentencing Commission, I've also created a task force for the continued transformation of youth justice in New Jersey, so that this notion of fairness doesn't apply only to older residents, but so we can do more to impact the lives of our youth and put them on better paths forward. This task force will augment the great work of the New Jersey Juvenile Justice Commission, which over the past 15 months and in partnership with the Annie E. Casey Foundation has seen the number of youths detained in both county and state facilities drop by 80%. And 80% of this reduction is also among young persons of color. We must strive to give those who may have simply made a mistake or a young person facing a nonviolent low-level drug arrest a chance at bettering themselves and erasing a dark spot that will haunt them in their job and educational prospects for their entire lives. Too many of those young people of color are arrested for low-level marijuana offenses. This week alone in New Jersey, roughly 600 people will be arrested on a marijuana-related offense. The statistics tell us that roughly 3 times as many blacks will be arrested than whites. That's, for those of you doing the math, that's 450 to 150 this week alone. This week alone. All totaled, adjudicating these offenses will cost our state and its taxpayers upwards of $140 million this year. All the while, futures will be short-circuited. Opportunities for jobs or an education will be lost. This is the legacy of our misguided war on drugs, a war that has led to mass incarceration and to the hollowing out of communities of color, particularly in our urban centers. And making things worse, while we were engaged in this so-called war, the opioid epidemic was shattering even more lives. Studying the impact of this legacy is how I came around to supporting the legalization of adult-use marijuana. It is at its heart an issue of justice and of eradicating long-entrenched institutional racism. However, our work isn't just in the legalization and regulation of adult-use marijuana. Part and parcel of our effort is the expungement of past offenders for those currently and previously incarcerated for marijuana offenses. In short, New Jersey has put forward the most progressive and impactful adult use marijuana legalization and expungement law in the entire country, in the entire history of our country. And I'm thankful to Giles for his support of our efforts and for standing alongside so many other leaders in our faith, social justice, and law enforcement and legal communities. You all know this. I know I'm preaching to the folks who are on the front line. I have to remind folks, we're not inventing marijuana. It exists. Our kids are exposed. Our kids are exposed not just to marijuana, but whatever else is being sold in the corner. The bad guys run the business and make all the money. There's no regulation. And the social injustices that have been building up over decades are not cured. All I want to do is protect our kids, this would be 21 and older, put the bad guys out of this business once and for all, and undo the social injustices that have built up over decades. That's what we're talking about. Of course, underpinning all of these efforts must be an economy that reaches deep down to every community and provides real opportunities for a good job and a secure future. We know that the best anti-crime and anti-poverty program available is a job that pays a livable wage. And we cannot ignore the importance of ensuring economic justice and tax fairness. They too are important pillars. This is why I continue in New Jersey to advocate for ensuring our millionaire's tax covers every millionaire so that we can have the resources to invest in education and job creation and community development. Whether here in Atlantic City or in Camden or Newark or Trenton or Patterson or you name it, we are committed to investing in our public schools and in workforce development, especially with our partners in organized labor, to boost our apprenticeship programs. We have also initiated a pilot program that is allowing qualified students in need the ability to attend community college tuition-free. And it's hardly a small pilot. As of September, it'll be 18,000 students in this state, and we want to see that number grow every year. We are rebuilding our cities to be engines of economic activity and revitalization, where once empty factories and storefronts can be repurposed for the innovation economy or into badly needed affordable housing. This is where we prove that economic and social progress go together. I say this often, we can't make economic progress without social progress, and likewise, we can't make social progress without economic progress. Our goal is to restoke the community spirit that once coursed through our urban streets, and we will be looking to our partners in law enforcement to help rebuild and maintain that spirit. And there is perhaps no more necessary partner than Noble and all of you. I thank each of you for answering the call of service, whether you serve here in New Jersey or elsewhere in the region. And I thank you for allowing me these few moments to be with you. I wish you the best, Giles, and everybody for the rest of your conference, and I hope to see you all back in Atlantic City real soon. Thank you all, and God bless you all.